Alright, so today we are doing an episode based off of a YouTube video that I saw today. And it was kind of interesting. It was interesting to hear his perspective. I had my own opinion as he was talking, of course, but in this video, it's a YouTuber that I've been following for a while, and I've kind of watched his channel grow. And he's a cool dude. He basically came into YouTube with a unique idea that I think everybody and their mom decided that they wanted to pile on as well. And they kind of saturated the market based off of this dude's idea. And so he kind of had to, I guess, reinvent himself and do other content and stuff like that. And because of that, I guess he's not getting the views that he wants. But, I mean, the dude, he's pulling in a good amount of views. What kind of threw it off for me was that the whole reason why he was doing the video was because he was battling some depression. And I'm not knocking depression, but the fact that he basically said that he wanted to kill himself based off of his view count was a little extreme, to say the least. It definitely was one of those situations where I was like, huh? Like, wait, what? And then that started getting me thinking about, because he admits that it was a dumb thought, and he kind of went in, the whole conversation of how depression works and how, it is different for other people, and I understand. But then it also got to a point where I started thinking, how much of that is, because in a way he was kind of blaming social media, and for me it was kind of like, when does it get to a point when you stop and look at yourself and start asking yourself, like, do I really need validation? How much of it is ego driven? How much of it is narcissism? Because I'll be one of the first people to admit I'm a narcissistic person. I have narcissistic tendencies. I have ego tendencies. There's times when my ego kind of plagues me, but I have to. I notice it and I put it in check, or at least I try to. Validation, though, is something that I rarely seek. There's only been a handful of people in my life that have come into my life that I actually seek validation from. Other than that, most of the time it's kind of like I'm going to do what I want, how I want to do it, and I really don't give a shit how you think about what it is I'm doing or me as a person. I've also lost a lot of friends because of it. But validation is something that I typically don't seek, even though it may come off that way. Sometimes it's, like I said, there's only a few people in my life that I actually care about what they think, and those people know who they are, and they know because typically I'll bring a project to them and I'm like, hey man, what do you think about this? Or I want you involved. Like the people that I try to pull and really keep them close, especially to music and stuff that I do, those people, those are the people that, like, where validation kind of comes in. But to try to get validation from just rando people, that's something that I don't understand, and I feel like that's where we get into that kind of conversation with this said YouTuber. I mean, it gets to a point where, because like he even calls his mom at the end of the video, and again, he's getting validation from her, which is a good person to get that validation from. Don't get me wrong, it's his mom. I call my mom when I need some validation sometimes too, which she gives them. She basically says, you're getting a lot of views. I guess I didn't know he did music, but his music, I guess, is getting a lot of attention as well. Because of YouTube and stuff like that. And that's great. But to want to kill yourself over lack of views, it seems, I don't know. And again, he used the whole thing like, this is my income. This is how I survive. And I totally get that. But for me, I feel like that's also, a cop out. That's just somebody who's afraid to go and work a 9-to-5 job. Nobody wants to do it, but, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. And again, I'm doing this now. I completely quit doing that, and I completely 100% work from home, trying to build businesses, and so I understand the struggle. But I don't have, at this moment, 50K listeners or 50K views on a video, let alone his hundreds of thousands of views on some of his other videos. But he was tripping over 50K on one video. I mean, that's still a lot of views. Coming from somebody who's a small time podcaster. I mean, I'm small time in all my endeavors right now. My music, my podcasting, my building of my brands, all that stuff. Like, I'm small time. So to hear somebody complain about 50K on one video, and then wanting to end their life because of it seems a little weird to me. I want to sympathize with them, but at the same time, it's kind of like, when does it become not so much what you're doing anymore, and it becomes more of like, I'm trying to figure out how to word it. I guess the best thing I could say is, like, I do these podcast episodes because I've always wanted to do podcasts. I've always wanted to, ever since I was a kid. I mean, I have tapes. I mean, I don't know if I could find them ever again, but I know I had tapes. I had a little recorder when I was a little kid, and I used to record myself doing radio stuff. Like, I would have a CD player off to the side, and I would pretend I was a DJ. I would do things where I would take South Park characters, and I'd voice out the South Park characters, and I'd make up a little story, and I'd reenact it. So I've always been interested in, like, audio and voice acting and entertainment in general. I've always wanted to be in entertainment. Between doing voice acting, wanting to be an actor. When I was a kid, I really looked up to Jim Carrey. Of course, anybody who's my age and grew up in that time and wanted to be in any type of comedy probably would say the same thing. I wanted to be a pro wrestler. I was a big fan of the Attitude Era, and so I wanted to be a wrestler at one point. And then I got into music. At one point, I wanted to be, a rapper. I used to be in the rap real big, and then I discovered, heavy metal and rock and roll, and I got my first bass when I was 14. And so, every avenue that I've ever taken has always been wanted to be in the entertainment business in some form or fashion. That's something that I've always wanted to explore. So, like, I do these things not because, I want to become rich and famous off of it. I mean, that is part of the goal, to market my stuff smart enough to where I could eventually live off of this, and be able to live comfortably and take care of my family and still do something that I enjoy. Because at the end of the day, you want to go to work and then not make it feel like work. And if I can turn this into a work, where I'm able to get enough of an income to support my family, then awesome. But that's not the only reason why I do it. I do it because, first and foremost, it's a passion. So to be able to take a passion and turn that passion into money, that's a plus. With that being said, seeing somebody upset because they're not pulling in the views that they typically pull in, and the reason behind them being upset is, I think it boils down to the amount of money that they're going to get, and then wanting to off themselves because of it. That it's hard for me to fall in line with that, because like his own mom said, you get plenty of views on other videos, your music's doing well. The fact is that he built a platform, and I guess he's stressing himself out because he feels like he's losing that platform. But again, like, I feel like because he's overthinking it and he's letting it overwhelm him, that's going to cause him to make shitty content, because now he's trying to make gold content. And I think a lot of people will be able to see through that. For me, it's like, dude, stop with the wanting to be, like, stop the validation. Like, don't worry about what other people think. When you got into YouTube, you were yourself. You were doing something that you were enjoying. You were having fun with it, and viewers saw that, and there was something pure about those videos that made people be like, that they gravitated. Like, that's what made me like him. I started watching him when he was doing those type of videos, and that's what drew me to him. The content's silly, of course, but I watched because of his personality, because of who he was. He was a cool dude, and he made funny content. Not so much the content itself, but the way he went about doing the content was cool. And I understand the frustration of having to kind of now have to really think outside the box, because the content that he originated, like, I don't think anybody was doing it before him. So to see him have to go from that to coming up with other stuff, which his other stuff was great. Yeah, and to see people take his idea and just muddy the waters can get frustrating. I can understand that frustration. I don't know, man. I feel like there's an egotistical side that's taking part of it, and I think if he can step away from that and realize that you're not going to get 100,000 views on every video. I mean, it happens. You're gonna hit low points. It just, that's how it is. I think a lot of it too is that he blames the algorithm. Which again, I'm not big on YouTube, so I'm ignorant to that and how algorithms work. But I know that that's why people are constantly pushing the like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell and all that stuff. For me as a viewer, that shit's annoying. When I become a content creator, I want to try my best to not do that. I mean, I understand why the majority of YouTube does that, the community, because a lot of these people, they do live off of it. So a part of me understands that. The other part of me is like, dude, just make videos. Like, just have fun. One of my favorite YouTubers, which I haven't seen him in freaking years. I used to watch him all the time. And again, he probably he disappeared because of the algorithm. And I don't even know if he does videos anymore, but it was this metal guy. And he used to always just talk about metal bands, and he would always drink his coffee and stuff in the morning. And he was a cool dude. And one of the things that I really respected about that guy was that he never asked anybody to subscribe or like. And I remember he eventually did a video, because I think a lot of people started like messaging him or leaving comments like, hey man, why don't you ever tell people to like and subscribe? And it was so overwhelming that he eventually just made a video on it. And he's like, I'm doing one video about this and that's it. And he basically was saying, I don't want to have to hold people's hands. Like, I don't want you to feel like I'm holding your hand. You're on this platform. You obviously know how it works. So if you like my stuff, you know that you need to subscribe. Like, you know that if you want to continue seeing my content, you push the subscribe button, and you know that it's free, and you know that my videos are going to come in the feed. And again, this was way back before the notification bell came. So all you had to do was push the subscribe button. So he basically was just painting it out there. Like, I'm not going to hold your hand. Like, you guys are adults. You guys, you come here for my content. And if you enjoy my content, it's basically like, if you subscribe, it's more of a nod to you. Like, hey man, thanks for the support. And instead of begging for it, he just naturally gains a following. That's how, I can respect that. I can respect somebody who wants a natural following. Because at the end of the day, he basically has this attitude. Regardless if I get viewers or not, I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. And that's kind of like how my mentality is about this. Like, I'm not looking to make money off of this stuff, but if I can, great. I'm going to market it as such. I'm going to make merchandise, and eventually if I get a big enough audience that will buy the merchandise, awesome. Again, I'm doing these things and marketing it a certain way. So eventually I can live off of this and continue to make great content, and hopefully be able to financially upgrade things and make my content better. That's always a goal. But first and foremost, it's a passion. So it's something that I want to do because I enjoy doing it. Because regardless if I have one person listening or 100,000 people listening, I'm going to make content and just put it out there. Like I said, for those of you who don't know, I was in another podcast with an old friend of mine, and that was the whole mindset behind that particular podcast, and it's the mindset behind this podcast. We're just recording things, and I have opinions, and I'm going to voice those opinions, and if other people want to listen, awesome. And like I said, I'm going to market as such to try to reach an audience, because that is a goal. I don't want to sit there and lie and say that that's not my goal. That is one of my goals, to reach an audience, to build a community. And the whole reason why I want to build a community is because I want to be able to share other people's talents. I want to be able to. That's why I ask for people that have original music, original stories, stuff like that they want to share. I'm all about trying to share that and share it with the community. But like I said, at first and foremost, I do this regardless if anybody's going to listen. And then at the end of the day, I would like to be able to go back years from now and listen to some of the older episodes. See if my opinions have changed at all. See if I've grown as a podcaster. Like, how has my production value changed? How has my editing changed? How has my music ability changed? You know, that's stuff that I'm interested in me alone. Like, I want to I want to be able to go back and look at those things and be like, wow, my production value has gotten better. Or, hey man, my editing actually, you can tell the difference. Like, you can listen to those early podcasts and the future podcasts. Like, you can hear the difference in them. And again, that's why I have this mentality of like, I just record and go. Like, I don't want to sit on something too long. I don't want to try to perfect everything that I do. Everything I do is a learning process. And so, I want to be able to go back and look at some of these things and understand that, like, you know, hey, I am growing. I am becoming a better, podcaster, or I'm becoming a better musician, or I'm becoming a better mixer and master and producer, engineer. You know, I'm getting better. Like, that's the whole point, of just going. Too many people in my life, have been, in that realm of like, it's got to be perfect. I gotta have all my chickens in a row, and you know, to me, it ends up becoming like an excuse to be a procrastinator, and I'm a huge procrastinator. And so the thing that helps me out is to just to be motivated is to just throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. Just run with it. Not everything that I'm going to put out is going to be prime rib, but you know, it is what it is. That's how I grow. That's how I learn. So with that being said, you know, anyway, I kind of went off on a tangent there. But yeah, I think, if this YouTuber, I doubt he'll ever hear it, but if he happens to ever hear this, my advice to you, man, is to stop looking for validation, and get your ego in check. I don't believe you had one, and the way you worded it in the video, it sounded like you've developed one that you're semi-aware of, that you developed because of all the quote-unquote fame that you've acquired over the years of you doing this. And if that's true and you do notice it, then get it in check. You know, you seem like a cool dude. I don't know you personally, but from what you've allowed your true self to kind of come through in some videos. So you seem like a pretty legit dude, pretty laid back dude, a very friendly kind of guy. You know, even on your videos, you show you meeting fans, and you're always really cool with them, and really like you just want to hang, like you're just that kind of guy. And I'm that kind of guy. Like I just want to hang with people and have fun conversations, and that's like, I think that's why I vibe with your videos, like because you come off as that type of dude, and those are the type of dudes that I like to hang around. So yeah, just like, don't worry about what we, the viewers, think, you know, and just focus on making content that you like. And if your numbers dip a little bit, then, you know, so be it. That's why you always want to have a backup plan. You know, like for me, I was able to quit doing the 9 to 5 and was able to come and do this because at this moment, my wife is kind of holding the reins. She's being the breadwinner of the family, and she's cool with what I'm trying to do right now. So I'm gonna run with it. If it doesn't, as time progresses, if I'm not able to make a decent living off of doing this, or I haven't reached a certain amount of fans and have a certain fan base, you know, I don't mind going back to the 9 to 5. Doesn't mean I'm going to stop doing this. I mean, you could still work a job in. You know, there's a lot of, you know, I think it is, I'm just afraid this dude's going to become an ebegger. There are plenty of old YouTubers that are now on Twitch. Again, not going to name any names, but I used to follow way back in the day, and they have devolved into this lazy piece of shit ebegging, and it's just, it hurts the soul, man. So like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to see other YouTubers become that. It's just kind of one of those things. It's like, I understand that you make a living off of this, but at the same time, that's why you should have a fallback plan. And if having to go work a part-time job to be able to continue doing what you love and to just pay the bills, fucking do it, man. Like, you're not solving anything by sitting and wallowing in your own depression because a video got 50,000 views when you're used to getting 100,000 views. Like, come on, man. Again, that's just also just being smart with your money, learning how to invest when you are making that cash. You need to learn how to invest it. But yeah, I mean, like I said, if I had to go back and get a part-time job to help pay the bills, it is what it is. Again, maybe I have a different mindset because I have kiddos and I know that I have a lot more to lose. But I don't know. Like I said, I do this stuff because I enjoy doing it. I do this stuff because the narcissistic side in me likes hearing my own voice. The narcissistic and ego-driven self likes to listen to the music that I've created. And that's one of the things that I find funny is that, like, when I hear podcasters, like, I don't know, like Joe Rogan, I know he doesn't listen to his own podcast. I know he doesn't. He has editors and he has people he just records it and then he moves on. But for me, like, I do listen to these episodes. Like, when I'm editing them, I listen to them and stuff like that. So, like, I have to listen to them. But it's not, I don't hate it. When I write music, I jam my own music in my truck. I've come around too many musicians who get, like, embarrassed when they hear their own music, and I've never understood that. Like, I guess, again, that's the ego-ness and narcissism that's within me that, shit, I'll play my music in my car. I'll jam to my own shit. Like, that's the whole reason why I write it. Like, I'm writing music that I want to hear. Like, I'm not writing it for you. I write it for me. I put it out there, so if you like it, then great. Appreciate the fan. Like, I appreciate the love. I'm not gonna, don't get it twisted. Just because you like my shit and I didn't write it for you doesn't mean I'm not gonna appreciate you. Like, again, I first and foremost, anything that I do it for myself. I do it because I want to, because I wanna be a part of something. And I've always had that mentality. Instead of trying to be a part of something somebody else is doing, I'm just gonna create my own shit, and I can run it the way I want to run it. Same thing with this podcast. Like, we had another podcast, we went our separate ways, and now I can run this podcast the way I want to run it. We just had different ideas, and that's okay to have, you know what I mean? It's okay to have different ideas and not agree about everything. That's why partnerships are really hard. It's better to just do things on your own and learn how to do everything. And that's what I love, is that I have the drive to sit there and learn how to do all this stuff. All this stuff that you're hearing, I'm a solo project, man. I do the music, I do the editing, I do the ideas, everything is on my own, and I take some pride in that, not trying to be bragging or anything, but again, I want to grow as an individual. I want to be better than I was yesterday. And it's every day is a constant battle to improve, to stay motivated, and to continue pushing forward. And again, like, if I build an audience, awesome. It's like, it's not the first thing on my list, but it is on the list. So, and I'll do an episode about that, where we talk about, like, the whole mindset of selling out. 'Cause I find that also, a funny phrase to label that on anybody that who becomes successful in something. They automatically get labeled as a sellout. So maybe I'll cover that as a topic one day. If you guys want to hear that, let me know if you want to hear my ideas on that. But yeah, like I said, although I'm not looking to be rich and famous off of this, I still look at this as a business venture. So I'm going to treat it as such. But I still know how to separate the two and have fun with what I'm doing. And I guess that's ultimately that my message to that YouTuber is that first and foremost, I understand that it's a business, but make sure you're having fun what you're doing. Because if you're not having fun and now it's becoming a chore, then maybe you do need to find another avenue and go do something else. And then come back to this. The great thing about social media and YouTube and being a content creator, being an entrepreneur, is that there's always an opportunity to come back to it, especially as a content creator. You get tired, you get overworked, you're getting stressed out, stop doing it, go do something else, and then you can always come back. Now, you may have to build your audience again, but you'll have a newfound love for what you're doing, and the passion will be there, the excitement will be there, and that will then resonate with the people who are listening and or watching your videos. So, I mean, I'm not trying to say I have the key to everything, but I feel like that's logically, to me, that makes sense. Enjoy what you're doing, and if you're not, then you need to make a change. And I've learned that from a friend of mine a long time ago. Jerry, shout out to you. I don't know if you're ever listening to these, but if you ever do, shout out to you, man. He always came off as an asshole when we were younger, and a lot of our friends would get into it with him, but ultimately his message has never really changed, and it's always been very simple. And it's, if you're not happy about something, instead of bitching about it, change it. Like, you have control of your own destiny, and don't pull and play the victim card. And I know that's a harsh thing to say, because again, when you're talking to somebody who's battling depression, they can tend to take that the wrong way. But it's more of like, dude, just grab yourself by your bootstraps and let's go. Like, push through it. The world does not give a fuck about you. You're small in the world, and it's just a sad reality. Like, no one cares more about you than you. So you have to, stand up on your own 2 feet, and you have to find your happiness. And if you're not happy in the situation that you're in, nobody can change it but you. And again, those are harsh words, and growing up, a lot of my friends didn't like that mentality. And I remember having conversations with him about that. But as I got older, it started to make more sense. And the funny thing is that this same person who would talk this way, subsequently enough, is probably one of the most successful people financially in my group of friends. And the main people that really hated the way he talked, they're not super successful, but they're also not, they're not struggling. They went to school and stuff too, but they're nowhere near probably the potential that they could have been. And again, I'm not knocking anybody. I'm just saying, like, having that mentality does help. You may come off brash, you may come off like an asshole, but I feel like there is still some truth to that. Like, no one's going to tell you what makes you happy. No one's going to be able to define what makes you happy. Everybody's different. Everybody has a different preference. Everybody's personalities are different. What you have to do is, instead of dwelling in your own sorrow, you have to acknowledge the fact and then start figuring out, how can I change it? How can I make it better? What makes me happy? And sometimes you're just stepping away. Sometimes you just get burned out. Step away from that project that you're doing, do something else, and then come back to it. But I don't know. That's just my take on it. Anyway, this episode's getting kind of long, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it here. If you enjoyed this episode and you want to become part of the conversation, visit us at Facebook. We have a Facebook group. It's the Cognitive Discourse Podcast. So just type that in the group section and you'll find us. Join and become part of the conversation. There's where we post, questions and every now and then I'll throw a question at you guys and waiting for your comments. You can pose your own questions there. And then if you want to send me anything privately, you can send that to cognitivediscoursepodcast@gmail.com. That's cognitivediscoursepodcast@gmail.com. You can send me stories, questions, music, just a shout out, whatever it is. You can send it to that email, and I'll feature it in an episode. But yeah, I really appreciate you if you are listening. To those who listen to me on a regular, thank you. It is fun. Like I said, I'm doing this regardless, but I do appreciate the love and feedback that I do get, even if it's a small group right now. I appreciate every single one of you guys and girls. But until then, you guys enjoy your weekend. Have fun. Stay safe. Until next time.